Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you our 2014 CFL season preview for the Toronto Argonauts. We're going to take a look and see how well the Argos stack up versus the rest of the field this year in the CFL, and we're going to break down their offense, their defense, as well as their special teams. But let's start back by looking at the CFL draft to see how well the Argos drafted this past May.
This year's draft was an offensively focused one for the Argos. I thought they'd focus more on the defensive front seven, but nonetheless, still a solid group of prospects they were able to bring in. Now, the obvious headliner in this group is Anthony Coombs out of Manitoba, the talented tailback. He gives them exactly what they had in Chad Cackert, plus a lot more. He's explosive in every facet of offense, running the football, has excellent vision. As a receiver, he's a dynamic playmaker with the football in his hands, and also outstanding in the special teams department. So I would look for Coombs to push for Rookie of the Year honors this year for the Argonauts. The Argonauts are in good hands with Ricky Ray at quarterback. Last year before the injury, Ray was having his best season yet, throwing 21 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions, which was the lowest in the league. And he also completed 77% of his passes, which was the league's best. Now, Ray was efficient, but he didn't attack vertically down the field enough or as much as you would like. You want to see him get a little bit more aggressive this season. Backing him up is Trevor Harris, who moves into the number 2 role because of the departed Zach Collaros. Harris saw very limited time last season and will have to fend off Josh Portis, who brings much more of the total package to the table with his passing and running skills that gives defenses fits. Last season, running game was an issue for Toronto all season long. The Argos just couldn't generate the same output as they did 2 seasons ago. Now, with the retirement of Chad Cackert, who was a tremendous player, there's an even bigger question mark about this position. This is why in the first round of the draft, Toronto selected Anthony Coombs out of Manitoba. I got to see him up close and personal at the 2013 East-West Bowl and instantly saw why he was a highly touted prospect. If Coombs can come close to what he did in college, the Argos will be just fine in the backfield. The depth behind Coombs is intriguing, as a bunch of very good talents are vying for opportunities. Guys like Steve Slayton, Curtis Steele, Jeremiah Johnson are good all-around backs. Slayton actually gives you a lot of what Coombs does in both the passing game and in the running game. Steele and Johnson are more of your between-the-tackle type guys. And I still hold out hope for Anthony Woodson, who hasn't lived up to his draft billing, but the talent is definitely there. He just has to realize it. The Argos get a lot of production out of their slot backs, more so than any other team, and it's easy to do so when you have the players of the caliber of Chad Owens, Andre Dury, and Jason Barnes. All 3 guys combined for nearly 2,700 yards and 12 touchdowns. Their productivity is a combination of Ricky Ray's ability to get rid of the football quickly and what they can do individually after the catch. Now, gone is Dontrell Inman, but with the emergence of second-year player John Childs, who is the 4th leading receiver on the team with 725 yards and 8 touchdowns, that lessens the sting and actually may be an upgrade. Spencer Watt is one of the more reliable targets in the passing game and has been a model of consistency each and every year as he enters his 5th season. One sleeper to keep an eye on is KJ Stroud, who's a rookie free agent out of Bethune-Cookman, who does a great job outside of the numbers. And overall, both at slot back and wide receiver, this is a talented group of pass catchers for Toronto. The 2013 season was a mixed bag of results for the offensive line. On one end, they paved the way for a solid season in the passing game, but on the flip side, they struggled to open up holes in the running game. Now, getting top 2013 prospect offensive tackle Matt Sewell in the fold should help out tremendously. Sewell was drafted last year by the Argos, but returned to McMaster. Jeff Keeping and Tyler Holmes return on the inside at center and guard respectively. The question then becomes the depth across the board. The Argos lose Joe Epperly in the expansion draft this year to Ottawa, so they're going to have to find a solution at right guard. It's partly the reason why they loaded up on the offensive line in the draft with Jakarian Dillon and Kirby Fletcher. We'll see how much these guys also contribute, as well as 11-year vet Wayne Smith and how much he still has in the tank. But you can see where there's a slight question mark up front heading into the season for Toronto. This will practically be a whole new unit for Toronto. The only returning starter is Cleon Lang, who had a solid season last year for the Argonauts, and hitting the reset button may not be a bad thing considering that the Argos had issues in getting to the quarterback. They were second to last in the league in sacks and also struggled to stop the run, giving up 109 yards a game. Toronto is a little light up front, and they're trying to win and disrupt with speed. Now, some of the fresh faces on the defensive line include Logan Harrell and Pedrick Scott. There are two bigger-bodied defensive tackles that could see time. On the edge, veteran Ivan Brown and newcomers Greg Romeus and Thaddeus Gibson gives that unit promise on the outside. I also expect to see an increased role from second-year player Keontae Tripp. There's too many newcomers right now to feel overly confident entering the season. The talent is definitely there, but can they produce on the field is the remaining question, and that's something we're going to have to see moving forward. Another revamped unit is the linebacking core. There's a lot of speed at the second level for Toronto. Guys like Shea Emery, James Juracek, Shane Horton. They're tremendous athletes that bring a lot of blitzing and pass rushing capability to the table. I'll be interested to see what Greg Jones can do as well. Jones was a highly decorated linebacker coming out of Michigan State, whose game, in my opinion, is tailor-made for the wide open fields of the CFL. Jamie Robinson is a coverage linebacker at times, but also a halfback, one of the stalwarts here defensively for the Argonauts. Now, athleticism and coverage isn't the problem. It's tightening up versus the run, where this unit has to make an immediate impact this year in order to build on the late season success they had in 2013. I'm a big fan of the Argos secondary. They can play any type of game, man, zone, off, or press. They're especially good in the deep part of the field and also on the hash with Jaleel Carter, who's a very talented halfback, and Matt Black, the deep safety. Both guys also excel in run defense. Now, gone is Pat Watkins, the 6'5 corner on the outside, and finding someone to team up next to Alonzo Lawrence, who was very solid last year. That's going to be the biggest question. It leaves the door open for rookie cornerback Eric Black out of St. Mary's to stake his claim, or even Shane Hebert, who's looking to return back from injury. The old saying goes, the front end helps the back end, and just on talent alone, I think they'll be fine in the secondary. But if the defensive line is able to get pressure on the quarterback, this unit will look a lot better this season. The Argos special teams are amongst the best in the league. Kicker Swayze Waters has a booming leg. He's able to drill those longer field goals, but you want to see him improve with his accuracy. Now, while the return units are in excellent hands with the flying Hawaiian Chad Owens, who handles both kickoff and punt return duties, in order to maximize his talent on offense a little bit more, it wouldn't surprise me to see Anthony Coombs, the rookie, or even Steve Slayton take some of the workload away from Owens this season. The reason for optimism for the Toronto Argonauts, you have to look at this offense. It's very explosive, one of the best in the league. They can beat you in many different ways, and defensively, they got better as the season progressed and made it to the East Final, so there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic if you're an Argos fan. Now, on the flip side, the cause for concern is that defense. While they got better, you wonder if it was an aberration, and with a lot of new faces, how quickly can they gel would be the biggest question I have about the Argos moving forward. The road to the Grey Cup goes as follows for the Toronto Argonauts. Number one, they have to keep Ricky Ray well protected in the pocket. If he can stay upright for the full 18-game season, they're going to go a long way. And rookie running back Anthony Coombs has to play like a vet. They can't have any drop-off in the running game. Remember, when they went to the Grey Cup 2 years ago, they were able to run the football with the best of them. And if Anthony Coombs can fill the void left by Chad Cackert, this will be a very good offense. And consistently good play from the defense will help this team get over the hump. Last year, they couldn't beat Hamilton 3 out of the 4 times they lost to the Ticats, 1 being in the East Final. They have to get over the hump, and it all starts with them playing consistently good on defense. I have the Argos finishing second in the East Division. Offense alone, they'll be able to put up points. I think the running game will be a lot better. That offensive line will do a better job in opening up holes. Defensively, there's a lot of questions in the front 7. The back half, I'm not worried about, but can they stop the run will be the biggest question. And it's also why I have them finishing second behind Montreal in the East. And I also want to give a huge shout out to CFL fan forums for always showing football game plan support.